What's going on, ATO? Sorry, long day at work. Just got home. But hopefully my quality is a little bit better because I got a new phone because my other one was broken. So I had to get a new phone. I'm still getting used to it. What's this? Oh, yeah. Anyway, so if you keep watching, we got the cover photo people. We're gonna announce that. We're gonna talk a little bit more about uh, some more plans of the car meet up in Joliet coming up, and we're just kind of waiting on Rob, like always. That's how it goes. But yeah, like I said, hopefully the quality is a little bit better. My other phone was just too broken, and I had to just get a new one. Do that. Okay, are we
Hey,
being?
what are you doing?
I have no
You're
idea why the
sideways.
phone decided to completely change.
Oh, okay. What's up, guy? How we doing today?
You're really come on, phone.
Are you stuck in a certain direction? Everybody, tilt your head with Marty.
I have no
What's
idea
the
why it keeps telling me it was perfectly fine until I added you, and now
Well, I break
and
shit.
and now I have my phone sideways, but I am facing sideways, so I have no idea what the heck's going on.
You're normal to me, so.
I don't know. I really don't. Like I said, like
uh,
I was just telling everybody, this is a new phone, so I'm still trying to get used to it. I guess.
it happens. It happens.
Am I crooked
It's
now?
not. Yes, now you're crooked.
I don't understand. Whatever. I'll just do this. I'll just sit here and be completely crooked. Whatever.
Well, on my screen, you're normal, so I don't know what's
I
going
yeah.
on there.
I don't either. I don't know.
Am I normal on your screen?
No. Well, like I said, my phone acts like I'm shooting it straight up and down, not horizontal.
Okay.
Even though my phone is horizontal right now, everything is crooked. Whatever.
Well, alrighty then.
Anyway,
Oh,
anyway. So 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. We're getting down to it. Today's the first, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, today's the 30th. Tomorrow's the first. But so 2 weeks, everybody. If you're in the Joliet area, we're going to be doing a little bit of a car meet and try to get a
It's gonna be a good time.
try to hang out with some people. Try to you know let everyone know what's going on and just have a good time.
It's gonna be awesome. I know we got a few people gonna be showing up.
I've got
I'm sorry. I just like totally had it. Just my mind just went.
yeah,
Uh, Raul says he's bringing out his Cadillac, his 70s
nice.
Cadillac. Mark should be over there with his his super orange Camaro.
Awesome, sweet deal, awesome.
Yeah, I should be driving this over there hopefully.
Oh
So.
yeah, nice.
Well, I would have been driving it already, but my son went and broke his arm, and so then I had to pump the brakes and
Oh,
deal with that stuff. So
yeah, no. So hopefully we got that. I'm hoping to get a couple more people going. I've got a buddy of mine who is still up in that area. Who he makes wooden signs. He's gonna bring a couple of his pieces up there as well, and maybe he can get some orders. Show you guys what's
very
going.
cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
he made us he I think I've shown it. I think I've shown it on here. The All Terrain Outlaws wooden sign that
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, he made that.
Hmm.
So him and his partner, I guess you'd call it. They both run the company together. They're going to be up there as well. They're going to have like a little booth, I guess you'd say. So
Nice,
it'll be free.
nice. Yeah, we'll talk some more on it. I've got some. I still have some stickers, so everybody who shows up will be getting a sticker
Right, for sure.
as well. So, but yeah, more details to follow. Sorry, Marty, I haven't had a chance to like communicate with you at all. So I know like we're kind of doing this a little on the fly, but
Yeah, yeah.
we,
Okay. But
We'll have some solid details hammered out. I am excited to see who won the cover photo this week, and we had quite a few good photos.
Yeah, we did. The commenting is turned off, so you can't really vote anymore. But Andrew Hurtado won. He was second place last month, and came so close to winning last month, and then
this month.
He finally got it this month. So, congrats to him, and I'll get a hold of him here in a little bit, and we'll get some more photos and the showcase written up.
Very nice, very nice. I was surprised to see Ken finally posted his Mini Cooper.
Right?
Oh man, that thing is cool looking, and I gotta say the Nancat theme going on is just hilarious.
Yeah.
That's just really funny.
Yeah,
Guy's got a good sense of humor. It's a fun.
I'm surprised it's taken him so long to post up at one of his cars.
Yeah, he spends all his time in the garage. I don't even know if.
True.
So, you get distracted. You want to take photos, you forget, and you're like, yeah, I'm tired now.
Yeah, that's true. I know how that goes. It's like when people talk about buying cars and they're like, stay away from mechanics' cars because they spend all day working on everyone else's car. They don't want to work on their own.
Yeah, kind of true story. That happens.
You know what I mean?
Because you're like, I know it's broken, but I also know that that's not that big of a deal, so it could just be broken.
I know it's broken, but I mean, I just spent 12 hours working on everybody else's stuff. I kind of just want to go home and relax.
Right?
But speaking of broken stuff,
yeah, hey Ken, what's up, buddy? Yeah, I know. I love your Mini, dude. I loved it. It's awesome.
Yeah, are we still getting a race going on between you guys?
Ken called me out, and I didn't have a chance to go out to the autocross that weekend. So hopefully, eventually, at some point, I'd like to see what the Fiat could really do in an actual setup scenario versus what I've been doing, which is just like, hey, your car looks fast. You want to race right now while we're driving? Okay, cool.
Oh man, but yeah, no. So D has been talking about wanting the diesel Titan ever since they came out, right?
Right.
And she was talking it to one of her coworkers, and they were talking about the Titan and everything like that. And the guy goes, "Yeah, it's too bad that they're getting rid of it." She goes, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, they're getting rid of the diesel Titan. It's gone." I'm like, "Hold on, that doesn't sound right." So I started doing a little bit of research. Apparently, Nissan is getting rid of. They're streamlining their models. So there's going to be no more single cab Titans, and they're getting rid of the diesel Titan. No reason other than the fact that they're just streamlining their stuff, and apparently those are the two models that don't sell very well.
Okay, so they finally come out with a diesel, and before anybody gets a chance to really like it or do anything with it, it's dead.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
That's
out for what, 3 or 4 years, maybe.
Yeah, it hasn't been very long. So it always kills me, and then I always wonder why it is that these companies come out here. They give you a vehicle. It doesn't have enough time in the market to actually get any traction or a following, and then they're like, we're not going to do that anymore.
Well,
well, wait a minute.
And it also completely, it's not like there's not a market for it, because Dodge has had the EcoBoost Ram for I don't know, 7 years now.
Did you just say EcoBoost Ram? Are you okay?
Oh, sorry, Eco Diesel.
It's different than the EcoBoost, because that's a Ford thing, and that's just turbocharging.
Anyway, no.
Speaking of which, Ken, remember when we got in trouble for that?
They've had the Eco Diesel for, something like 7 years now. Ford just came out with a half-ton diesel, and if I'm correct, Chevy's been in the talks about making a half-ton diesel as well. Not to mention the Colorado is a diesel model, and those have been selling crazy. So to just up and leave the market it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
No, and you know what? The auto market's been getting shuffled around so much right now. Like it's actually getting hard to keep track of because you got a
Yeah.
bunch of car manufacturers that are cutting out cars and they're cutting off different lines and there's no more. I mean, there's no more Fiat 500 for the U.S. market. This is the
Right.
last year of the Fiat 500.
Right.
That's gone, and it's not like there's not a market for that because I was looking up all the different, not just minis, but Honda Fits and Mitsubishi Mirages and all these different companies that still make small cars. They're still selling. So I don't know. I just don't fully understand it. Like they came to the States. They got. It's just it makes you wonder. Like, is there more to it than just it's just the market? Because I'm having a hard time believing I mean, especially the diesel. That there's no market for diesel. Like there's so few diesel trucks to choose from.
Right.
It would seem
Well,
like that would be a good market to be in.
and
So
it was one of the first half-ton diesels that had been offered, and now all of a sudden, as soon as the F-150 gets a diesel, and then Chevy's talking about putting a diesel in there, they're like, okay, well, we're done.
yeah,
The diesel that you had created for that you put in your truck was specifically created for your truck, and now it's gone.
right.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Like that Cummins that was put into that truck was a whole new design that Cummins made up to fit into that truck.
And
And
did it have any like major faults or issues? I mean, there's always
not
going to
that
be some
I mean,
teething
there were some
problems.
people that said it was a little bit unreliable, but if you I don't know if you've ever watched it. There's a show called Dirt Every Day on YouTube. Well, it's on Motor Trend, but they took one of those 5.0 diesels. Is it a 5 liter diesel? Anyway, they took one of the diesels from the Titan and drove it underwater. Completely
Like
submerged it.
under what?
Completely submerged it underwater with
Okay.
like the driver had an air setup on, so he could breathe underwater, and drove it underwater for like 40 minutes. And they're saying that this Titan is not going to have a diesel anymore.
It's insane, and I really hate the reliability argument. It feels very anecdotal because
Yeah, yeah,
how can you say like this particular car is extremely unreliable because these five owners had problems with it, but these five owners didn't. So we're going to say it's unreliable because that's 50%. But maybe the people that are buying those are just bad at maintaining their vehicles or just don't feel, you know what I mean? Like you have people out there who wait 30,000 miles to change their first oil change because they don't understand the difference between 3,000 and 30,000.
yeah.
And you have people out there who are extremely meticulous about their car and keep it pristine
Mhm.
and perfect. So
Yeah.
like who's making this decision? I and don't even tell me it's that stupid JD Power people because those people give so many awards to Chevy it makes me want to throw up.
They give, and a lot of their awards are kind of bogus. If you like read into some of those, a lot of those awards
Yeah,
are bogus. But
they don't make any sense.
but yeah, like you said, it's all anecdotal. I mean, you and I could go out and buy the exact same brand new vehicle, and we'll both have different experiences with it. It's as
Right.
simple as that. There's no rhyme or reason between it. I mean, heck, everyone says that Toyota is the most reliable vehicle ever, but you could go find. I can guarantee you can find somebody who's had nothing but issues with their Toyota.
Right. Well,
You
actually,
know,
I know somebody who they had a Toyota Rav4, and they were like, "Oh, I'm so excited! They're supposed to be so great and so awesome," and they had problem after problem after problem. And I was like, "Man, I don't know where you bought this Toyota, but somehow you got the only terrible Toyota."
right?
But it happens. It does happen. Like, who gets to make the final stamp? Like, reliable, not
Yeah,
reliable. Like, who
right,
gets to
right.
make that decision? Who's that guy? There's never any like, oh,
And
here's the data of everything that we've done. It just doesn't exist anymore.
with the Titan, it's been so new still that you can't say, oh well, it's you know those models that are 10 years old are having issues. It's not even 10 years old yet. The
Right.
first ones aren't even 10 years old yet.
Right.
So
Exactly. It's just absolutely crazy.
it's one of those things where it came into the market, people liked it, people have been buying it, I think I was reading it. Nissan said that they sold over 50,000 units of the Titan in the last 4 years or 3 years. But it doesn't differentiate between the regular Titan or the diesel Titan. So it sold 50,000 Titans. So it doesn't tell you how many of the diesels were sold.
Right.
But there are a lot of them out there. I mean, I know of at least three people who have them. Like personally, know three people that have them, and that's I could probably find that many people who have some other vehicle. But it's one of those things of these people who have them and they enjoy it and they love it, and now all of a sudden they're completely awestruck that Titan is going to be just gas powered again.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
don't understand what it is, and with the amount of diesel technology that's out there now, and especially in like the European markets, the amount of gas mileage that they're getting out of them, and things like that. Like, why, wherever the regulation is, whatever the cost is to bring those diesels here to the United States, whatever it is that's blocking them is completely bogus and is really, in my opinion, hurting our innovation in vehicles. It's really putting a hindrance to it because if every time we get something new or something different or every time we get some kind of a diesel engine and it has to be this, has to be that, and it can't be like the one that they made over here. It has to be this way and that way, and like at some point, do you just like get the fuck out of the way? Let us deal with our own cars because like
Yeah.
I'm getting
Well,
annoyed with it. You know what I
I
mean?
was I was
Sorry for
reading
like the lack of
I was reading an
sentencing.
article about an article the other day that said that all of these European countries are wanting to go diesel engine free by like 2030 or 2040. And Japan wants to be completely free of diesel engines by like 2030 or something like that. So I'm wondering if that whole movement is spurring this getting rid of the diesel Titan already. But then again, they already make cars strictly for the U.S. market that they don't even sell over in Japan. They don't
Right,
they make cars for strictly for us that they don't even offer in their home country. So
right.
it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I kind of want to go, sit in some of these board meetings and go, what are you guys thinking?
Should be all on
because
the couch.
because you guys aren't listening to your market. You guys aren't listening to the people buying your product.
Right. Right. And it seems so clear and obvious to me that like there's a lot of guys out there that especially truck guys that they would prefer to have a diesel. They've got a bigger vehicle. They need something that's going to be, heavy on torque and is going to be, still reliable and get good mileage and do all the things that they wanted to do. And a diesel engine is kind of so where's the push for like why is it that these governments are going for a push for diesel free? I mean, what's the deal here? Because
It's
it's
it's like it's like before when we talked about how they don't really pay attention. That most of the people making these laws are people who don't drive cars. You know what I mean? Like
right.
they're not car people, and most of these people sit there and say, "Oh well, it's diesel, it's dirty, it's
Right.
diesel, it's very high pollutant." But then again, if that's only a handful of people who are trying to tune their vehicle so it does do roll coal or so it does it is a little
Right.
dirtier. But there's also a movement going on right now where it's called clean diesel performance, where they can do the exact same things as these guys with the giant black clouds, but they can do the same stuff without emitting any more or any less emissions. So it basically that what it is it's showing that they don't care. They don't care
Yeah.
about they don't care about their people. They just want to. They hear, oh, this is dirty. It's very pollutant. Let's get rid of it. But
Yeah. The whole I don't know. I get that there's like we have to worry about the environment and then our pollution and all that stuff, but why is the focus always put on cars? Like the focus is always, always, always like zoomed right in on cars. If we don't have catalytic converters on jet planes that are flying like directly in the atmosphere, burning jet fuel. Like those guys don't got catalytic converters. They don't got to worry about gas emissions and stuff. Those guys are fine. But
Well,
no, cars. There. I mean, it's just you're gonna be kidding me. We put out the majority of emissions worldwide that's put out is because of creating energy. Electricity is the main biggest pollutant than anything else. And I just like why they focus so heavy on our cars and on our vehicles. It bugs the heck out of me because I feel like we're paying the price so that way they don't have to do the hard stuff. Like
right.
it's easy to regulate cars. I don't want to have to try and make them regulate airplanes. That's hard. You know?
Well,
Like
it's one of those things where the politician hears, hey, this car is really pollutant. This car is old. Let's make them register this, or let's restrict this, so then they can't do that. Like California, where they're making it to where you can't work on your own vehicle in your own house, in your own
right,
driveway, because of the possibility of spilling fluids on the ground and contaminating the soil. Or up in was it Oregon, where you can't pump your own gas because you're not qualified to do it because you might spill. So I mean, like
yeah,
it's
it's
it's these
silly.
it's and so it's these people who hear it's these people who hear like one or two bad stories about something, about how this car is extremely pollutant, and then they run with it, but they don't know the full story. It was taken out of context, and the rest of that line is one of the least pollutant vehicles in existence. So
Right,
they don't really they don't really do the full story. It's more along the lines of, "Oh my God, did you hear this?" And then they tell all of their friends who don't do any of the research behind it, and then they regurgitate the same thing that their friend did, and now it's even worse because all these other people are saying about it. And
right.
now you're restricting.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're changing the gas cans because, oh my gosh, they drip.
Right. Right,
So
silly stuff like that, silly stuff. And yeah, Ken, no, Ken commented that electric does torque better than any gas engine ever could, and that's true. But the battery technology just isn't there. And if we're actually worried about pollution and pollutants, manufacturing and mining all the precious metals for batteries isn't the way you go about getting rid of pollution.
right. Well,
So I mean,
I was actually
where's the conversation actually at then? Are we just trying to
I
find
just
an alternative to gasoline because gasoline's supposedly going to run out, or what? I mean,
I think I think I just dropped something. I think what it is all these people are afraid of, everything's so pollutant, all this other stuff. But you've got countries who are still getting their power from coal.
yeah, just straight coal, nothing but
Just
coal.
just straight burning coal, and they have no restrictions on the emissions from the coal plants. And one car, 500,000 cars here in the US is doing less in a week than that coal plant is doing in a day. But we're getting restricted because
Right. No, it's
you
like it's yeah, I hear you. It's like the whole plastic straw argument. Someone saw a picture of a plastic straw on a turtle's nose, and now no one can have plastic straws. Even
right.
though a guy like me who lives in the Midwest, I could throw a plastic straw on the ground right now, and it would take 500,000 years for it to somehow make it to the ocean. I'm landlocked,
Well,
okay?
and not only that, but the now the manufacturing of these other straws
Yeah,
are are more time consuming and more you know it takes more everything to do these other straws,
right,
or you get these metal straws that are sold in plastic containers.
right. Which is really funny. That's really funny. No, and I'm sorry to bring up something silly like that, but That's what it makes you think of, because it's like, look,
Yeah.
either let us have the technology, right? Like, if we never
You,
had gasoline engines to begin with, we would have never went from push rods to overhead cams. We never would have went from the carburetors to direct fuel injection.
right.
We would never have progressed the gasoline engine to the point to where it is now, where you have such high efficiency from engines and turbochargers and stuff, where you can make a lot of horsepower and still get good gas mileage and still stay within the pollution regulations and then all that crap. Like, when you take away the diesels just because you feel like diesel pollutes more, or maybe it does pollute more, but maybe if you just let them have as many diesels as they can get their hands on, they'd figure it out.
Yeah.
It's just insane. And then for Nissan, I mean, whatever Nissan's reasoning is, I don't believe that it has anything to do with the market. I don't think you could make that claim with, like you said, you've got Dodge, Ford, Chevy. They've all got diesel trucks. They've all got more diesel trucks coming out.
Right.
So I mean, maybe it's an internal thing. Maybe it's how can we save money here? What kind of stuff are we going to be regulated on next, to where we need to jump ahead of the curve so we're not ending production when it's too late.
Right. Right.
Who knows? But I'd really like some more honesty out of our auto manufacturers. I feel like not enough people actually give a crap. you know?
Well, nobody holds them accountable. I mean,
Right.
they get to do whatever they want, and then when something happens, it's just like, okay, well, we got to take it. We got to deal with what they say. But do we really? I mean, when they get rid of the Titan, why can't 100 people call them up and go, hey, what are you guys doing? Why are you guys getting rid of the Titan? There's never any press release about, hey, this is the reason why we got rid of it. This is the reason why we decided to, cut out single cab Titans, or this is the reason why we're no longer offering the the Camaro when Chevy got rid of the Camaro. Everyone just accepted it and went about their day.
Right.
But if you accept it and go about your day, then they get to do whatever they want with no repercussions.
Yeah, for living in a place like America, where we have such a need for vehicles, and just about everybody has some type of car, to have such a lack of caring for the vehicles that we're driving, and like a passion for the, I mean, because you've got a car, I've got a car, that my next door neighbor's got a car, everyone on the street has a car. Like, why so many people are just like, just give me whatever.
Yeah.
It's just an appliance. Like, there's so much more to a vehicle than it just being an appliance, a day-to-day accessory.
Yeah.
People are more worried about their phones than they are about what. Half the people can't even tell me what size engines are in their cars. Like, oh, cool, you got a new car. What engine you got in there? Oh, what do you mean you don't know?
And there's some people who go to who go and buy the car strictly for that engine. You know what I mean? Like, it's
right.
Nobody holds these car manufacturers accountable. You could be a car salesman for these people and be like, this car does everything. It runs on unicorn farts. It doesn't pollute. It does this. It does that, and it could be the crappiest car ever. But you just told them that it does all this other stuff. Okay, I'll take that one.
Yeah, and maybe that's why a lot of people hate their car salesmen. I feel like car salesmen are so sleazy, because there's no way for you to really check what it is that the car guy's telling you. Mm-hmm. Half the time they tell you wrong information.
Because they don't know it.
Because they don't even know it. They just get told a few little things. They read the little brochure.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
I don't know. I mean, and like I said, like you and I said, I don't understand why these car companies are getting rid of so many vehicles from their lines. Like, pretty soon you're gonna have one or two. It's gonna be like Saturn, where they had like 3 different vehicles and that was it.
Right. Well, I feel like that there's a big push, because like we went to this whole, like, the main sales market of the U.S. went to crossovers and SUVs. Like, that's where the main junction is right now. And I feel like everyone is completely and totally jumping the gun, because we had this back in like the 90s, if you remember. Like, all the moms bought Suburbans, before the minivan craze. Before the
But yeah,
minivan craze, do you remember
yeah.
the Suburban and the Excursion and the Explorer? Like it became a big thing. Like all the moms had them, and then they all went to minivans. Yes,
Hmm.
for a little while, but there was this peak of like gas went like, and then gas went way back up, and then
Hmm.
everybody like ditched out on all their massive SUVs. I could pick up a Suburban for $100 because nobody
Right.
would buy it, and you couldn't
Hmm.
afford to drive it. And now they're going, oh, well, gas is cheap again. Gas goes cheap again, so now everyone's
Same
going
thing
to a
with
slightly bigger vehicle.
same thing with
And so,
trucks. Yeah, the trucks at that time were everyone was selling them so they could get something smaller.
right,
And then you couldn't throw a rock without running into a minivan because everybody had a minivan. And now what? Two car companies offer minivans anymore?
yeah, yeah, and now everybody's got at least 7 SUVs in their lineup, well, all different sizes. They all look the same,
Hmm.
and they're mostly boring. There's a couple of good, cool, exciting ones here and there, but they're mostly boring. And what's going to happen is that eventually, I know this is crazy, everybody. I'm predicting the future. Gas prices are going to go back up, and none of you are going to be able to afford to drive all your big SUVs, and you're all going to be throwing them out again.
Hey. Don't jinx me. I don't want that to happen.
Well, you got a diesel, so you'll be all right.
I remember when diesel was $5 a gallon. We
Yeah.
when I was working as hazmat, we were doing emergency cleanups and stuff like that. And we had a semi get sideswiped and one of his tanks was punctured. And so we took all of his fuel out of there and put it onto our auxiliary tank. He had like 180 gallons in his fuel tank.
It's just
So
spilling.
180 gallons to fill our truck back up. You know what I mean? Like that was a bunch of money.
Oh man,
But yeah, it was crazy because
minivans are lit.
people were doing all sorts of stuff, and that was another thing where people weren't traveling as much. People weren't driving as much.
Right, right. Well, you couldn't anymore. It became so
Right,
expensive.
right,
Ken,
exactly.
I hear you, man. You know what? The minivan got a bad reputation for being like the soccer mom vehicle of the year, but like Honda, Toyota, Chrysler, they make some killer ass minivans like that are really. I mean, there's some luxury vehicles at this point. Like they
Yeah,
really are.
and that's the thing is, but there's no domestic market minivans. Nobody. Well, is the Caravan
Chrysler.
still around?
Yeah,
Okay,
actually.
was.
Okay, so the Caravan, the Grand Caravan, or well, it was the Chrysler Town and Country, right? It's now the Chrysler Pacifica, but it's still a minivan. It's not the Pacifica SUV. And I
Oh, it's
don't know if
not an SUV. I thought that was an SUV.
it was. Now it's the minivan, which is it. Basically, the Town and Country's gone. The Pacifica is the Town and Country,
Right.
and I think that the Grand Caravan's still being made. But that's your domestic market minivans right now
Yeah, two. And I remember,
from the same
I mean,
company.
Ford had two of at the same time. You know, they had the Windstar and
Yeah,
the Aerostar out. Then Chevy had the Venture and
the Astro.
the Astro. So I mean, everybody went from having at least two different minivan styles in their lineup to almost nothing.
Yeah, my mom had an Astro van. We rode.
Astrovans, they had an all-wheel drive Astrovan.
Yeah, my mom had the rear wheel drive Astro van, and there was one time in the winter I thought we were gonna die because we were going up a hill, and then we weren't going up the hill. We were coming back down the hill,
My mom had an Aerostar and she couldn't stand it because it was rear-wheel drive. So she went and traded it for a Windstar.
which was the front wheel drive, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the longer front-wheel drive one.
Yeah, a lot of people went to the front wheel drive minivan because the rear wheel drive minivans didn't have enough weight in the back to get any
Hmm.
traction. Even
Right,
though it was a big vehicle, if you didn't have it fully loaded, there was no traction in the back end of those
right.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why my mom made me get a front-wheel drive car when I first drove. Although the car that I had wasn't front-wheel drive.
Oh man, That's like a typical thing. It's a Japanese car. It's definitely front wheel drive.
Right,
You're going,
right,
yep,
yeah,
yep, yes it is. Yep, that's right.
sure it
Please don't
is.
notice that this is a drift car.
But yeah, I mean, I don't. I mean, and now, like you said, everything is going to be SUVs. And I mean, Chevy's got what, 7 different SUVs. Ford has
Oh
like
my
two.
God.
Ford has like 3 or 4.
Ford has like 7 now, man.
Oh, does it
There's even
really?
more. There's
I
even
haven't
more.
even paid attention.
And can someone answer me why Ford has all their SUVs, except for the Bronco, start with an E? I'm serious. Let me name them off for you. So there's the new EcoSport, which is the smallest one. And then you've got the Escape,
Hmm.
right? You've got the Explorer. You've got
Right.
the Excursion. Uh,
No,
oh,
Excursion's
there's
gone. Expedition,
the Expedition. Thank you.
Edge.
Uh, the Edge.
Uh, what would you consider the? I don't think it's still around anymore. But what would you consider the Flex?
The Flex was a station wagon, in my
Oh,
opinion. It was a straight up station wagon. It
I,
was bigger than
I'll,
the station wagons of our time, but definitely a station wagon.
I don't know, man. Some of them station wagons back in the day were huge.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Some of them were quite large.
Some of them
I
were,
missed
were basically.
the Roadmaster, man. That was the
That's what I'm talking about with the rear facing seats.
rear facing seats were awesome.
Yeah, you. That's the funniest part about it is we'd go. I think one of my friends had one when I played sports as a kid, and instead of oh shotgun, I want front seat. No, it was I want back seat. I want back seat.
Yep, that's right.
and then you get
Absolutely, you got
all
to get in the back, dude.
and then you get all sad when there's only 3 people and you can only fit 3 people in the back, and you have to sit in one of the other seats. So you get mad, and so you sit on the floor in front of the people.
Oh, good times.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. These some of these car companies, it
Ugh,
seems
excuse
they
me,
don't.
guys.
It seems like they need to have some focus groups and just take ideas from people who want vehicles. Everybody nowadays is, I want an SUV. I want this or that, and there's no 2 door sports cars hardly anymore. I mean,
Well,
you've
that's the
got
thing. Like, there's this weird resurgent. You mentioned the two-door sports cars. There's this weird resurgence, and it seems like they're saying, okay, either you drive boring or you drive like crazy. Like that's you can either have a Supra or you're gonna drive the Escape, or
yeah,
you can have the Camaro, or you have to drive a Trailblazer. Like it just what am I? You get the Equinox. I don't know.
yeah. Well, I mean, look at back in the day when Ford had they had the 2 door Escort. They had the Probe, which was actually at one point supposed to be the Mustang, but people raised hell about that, and they just made it a new car. And
Yeah, that wouldn't have made any sense.
and then they had Mercury Cougar still,
Yep.
but I mean, like there is no there's no Mercury anymore, but there's no actual like little cars anymore. The Ford has the Mustang, and then they have SUVs. Chevy
Right.
has
That's it.
the Camaro and um, you
Corvette.
know the Camaro and the Corvette as 2 door vehicles, and then SUVs. There's no
SUVs.
like there's no like mid tier sports cars, 2 door sports cars.
Yeah, those are all definitely disappearing. You're either going to go to the extreme or you're going, which is why like I thought for sure Fiat was gonna make some smart moves. They came out with that 124 Spider, which was a really cool
Mm-hmm.
Miata style roadster. Rear wheel drive, 4-cylinder, small coupe. And if they could have just hung on for a little bit longer, got past this whole like we're unreliable reputation crap that they had to deal with, because they're really not unreliable. I drive one every day. It's not unreliable.
Right.
Uh, you know, they should have just hung on, especially when you got Ford and Chevy both canceling their small cars. Um, and the only other fun small car to compete with is the Mini Cooper, and that's 10 grand more. Like they had, in my opinion, if they would have just hung on for maybe 3 more years, they would have seen sales go up. But
Mm-hmm.
when you have the gas prices going down, people going away from having small cars because they can afford to drive a bigger car, so they're going to. But I feel like what's missing from all of this is that we don't have, like, you remember the old British top, like the old Top Gear when Jeremy Clarkson and Hammond and May, they all would like they would go and they'd be like, okay, we picked out this segment of cars, and maybe it was hatchbacks, which they did quite a few times, and I
Right.
loved it, or sports cars, and they'd all show up with the new, this, that, or the other, and they'd have to do all these ridiculous things. But at the end of the day, like, you actually saw them, like, why this car was good, why it was bad, what there was to love about the car, what there was to hate about the car. Like, it wasn't just like oh,
It's,
I heard that that's a nice car. Oh, well, I heard that that's unreliable, and that's all you get. Like, that's it. There's no
and
real car reviews, and the people that are reviewing the cars don't give you the whole spectrum. They just give you their
Mhm.
one, like, well, you should just buy
Well,
an
that's
SUV type.
that's the thing is, people who review cars anymore are reviewing trucks and SUVs or sports cars. They don't review regular cars. They don't review the Ford Taurus or the base model Dodge Charger or
Right,
the Chevy Malibu. They don't review those, and that's
right,
what a lot of people are gonna end up buying.
right,
And
right. You pick up any
and
car magazine, you're going to wind up with you're going to read about Ferraris all day long, and it's like
or sports cars
that's
that
all kinds of hypercars.
right, right, and that's the thing is, and then when you do get somebody who reviews a Chevy Malibu, it was given to them by Chevy, so they've got to say something nice.
Right,
So
right.
it's
Otherwise, Chevy's not going to let
already
them review their cars anymore.
right. So it's already skewed a little bit. I mean, I've had an idea for the longest time of just going out to like um, what was it? To go out and just rent a car from like a car rental place and then just review it. Drive it around for a little
Right?
bit and review it.
Just do some stuff like that. Like, I wish there was a little bit more of full unabridged attempt, like,
Yeah.
just real honest opinions about these cars and
There's
stuff,
a
to where,
there's a go ahead.
I was gonna say there's what was the reviews? I was reading a review site. I found a review site where they, like, actually went through and, like, they compiled all the small, like, articles throughout the internet on each car. And one of the biggest complaints that I found about my Fiat was that it didn't have enough space in it. I was like, it's a small car.
Right.
They're like, if you really want cargo space, get the Honda Fit. I'm like, but I'm buying a small car. Why are you
That's not the
telling me about
same.
cargo space? I'm not
It's
I'm
not
not
even.
worried about cargo space.
It's not even the
And
same segment.
technically it is.
What?
Technically the Fit is a subcompact, and so is the Fiat 500. Even though the Fit's a 5-door technically, and the Fiat's a 3-door. Like, they're
Okay.
comparing these cars together, and you're like, wait a minute, what? They're like, well, if you really want to have some nice space, I'm like, no, that's why I'm buying a small car, because I don't
Right.
want nice space. And then the guy had the balls to say that the Fit was more fun to drive. Like, what on earth? Then come to find out, he drove the base model Fiat 500 with a CVT transmission. Like, you completely negated the point of the car.
Right.
Like,
Right.
what is
Right.
wrong with you?
Yeah.
Ugh,
No, I
I
mean,
just
and
sorry.
no, yeah. There's one channel on YouTube that I enjoy. It's called Real Car Reviews, but they usually review like 10-year-old cars.
Right,
I'm talking. I'm talking. If you review a car that's coming out or has just come out, and you do it completely unbiased to where, hey, I don't like this or I don't like this, people are going to enjoy it because you're actually telling them things that they would not be able to do unless they go on a test drive. And usually when you go on a test drive, it's what, 15 minutes?
yeah. Take a right. Take a right. Take a
Yeah.
right. Okay, pull back in. And
And not only
you're
that,
like,
but
what?
you have the deal, the salesman in the car with you, so you can't talk to your you can't talk to your friend about, I really don't like this, or this is kind of crappy, or this is
Right,
feels chintzy, or all this other stuff. That's one of the things that I hate about that, because you can't figure out if you really like the car or not. I went and Dee and I went and test drove a couple of cars one time, and the dealer was, the guy was in the car with us, and I wanted to tell her, I'm like, this car is crap, but he's in the car with me, and I can't really say anything to him because I don't want him to be like, well, oh, this and that and the other, and then try to talk me into buying it. It's like, no, I
Right.
don't like it. Don't try to sugarcoat it. I don't like it.
Right.
So, but I mean,
Speaking of which, hey man, we had a conversation, our last conversation, and I was talking about how I wish there was a different way to buy cars. Have you
mhm.
heard or seen the commercials for this new phone app thing called Carvana,
Yeah,
where you can
there's actually,
buy a?
I actually ran into a Carvana driver at the old house. He was stopped getting something to drink while he was on his way back to Tucson. It's basically what you do is you go online and you figure out a car that you like and you buy it online and then they deliver it to you.
Which is cool, but are you still, when you do that, are you still restricted to just the U.S. market?
Yeah,
This is
you're
bogus as fuck.
it's kind of like it's set up kind of like a Craigslist. So where whatever's for sale like in your area,
Mm,
and it's one of those things of if they don't have it, they don't have it. You know what I mean? So the
yeah.
people who are selling it have to put it up onto the Carvana site, and then
Mm.
when they sell it, they get obviously they get a little bit of a commission. They deliver it to you, and I think you have 7 days to say, to be like, no, I don't want it, and then they come back and pick it up, and then they drive away with it. But if you end up buying it, they give you everything you need for it.
So
Ah,
it's like almost what I want. It's almost there.
almost,
I just
almost.
I want it more like Amazon. I want to be able to order whatever kind of car I want from wherever I want and just have it delivered to me. I want to be able to go, like the Fiat 500 is still being made. The Barth is still being made. I want to be able to go online and be like, I want a black one with the red stripes and the turbocharger and the black interior and send,
Yeah,
and just have it show up at my house and be like, okay, take the old one away.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it'd be nice. It'd be nice, but I, I don't know. That's just one of those things
It's
that's not.
it's one
It's
of those
not
things.
there yet. It's not there yet.
Somebody make it for me. Somebody make
But
it so I can order a car that's not necessarily for sale here in the U.S. and buy it whenever I want to.
well, that's not gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. You just wait, sir. Power of the
No,
internet.
no, it's not gonna happen. But I mean, there's so much stuff that in the car manufacturers are doing to kind of strong arm you into getting stuff that you don't really want.
Right. It's stuff that you don't really need either. You want to know why? I was thinking about it, and honestly, I think the reason why so many people drive SUVs now as opposed to sedans, like most families used to have a family sedan. It was the
Mm-hmm.
sedan that you drove. Now everybody's got the family SUV. SUVs cost more than sedans. So it's a big incentive for the sales guy to be like, you know what would be really good for you is an SUV.
Yeah, and you know
You got
what
more cargo space.
and you know how you push more SUVs off the lot? You cut the small sedans out of your lineup.
Yep.
But here's another one for you. You know how they have you ever heard of what was it? Basically scheduled replacement, basically where parts die out on a
Right.
certain schedule. I was just talking to Coughlin today. His buddy was replacing a fuel pump for a Dodge Charger.
Okay.
No, no big deal, right?
Yeah.
Well, the Chargers have two fuel pumps.
Oh.
See, so he replaced both of them. Car wouldn't turn on. Car wouldn't run. They did all this other, checking to make sure they did everything correct. You have to replace the pigtail on the harness. Otherwise, the new fuel pump won't talk to the car.
What? I'm confused.
You have to replace part of the harness because apparently the new fuel pump won't send signals to the car telling you that the fuel pump is good. It'll read like the fuel pump is bad if you don't replace this harness. And I was
Oh my
laughing.
god.
I'm like, how do you send more people to the dealership? You
Yeah.
let them do stuff like that, and then go, well, why is the car not starting? And then you send
Right.
it to, then they send it to the dealership, and the dealership goes, oh yeah, that'll be $150.
Right. And then they're like, I should have never tried to do it in the first place. I'm just going to take it to the dealer from now on. They're
Exactly.
screwing us, man. They've got a strong armed and they're screwing us over. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
really getting annoyed with it. Because
Yeah.
yeah, you're absolutely right. How else do you get people to buy more SUVs that cost more than sedans? You just get rid of your sedans.
And then again,
There's,
how do you get people to keep spending money on that car? You have scheduled replacement instead
right.
of instead of these cars that last 1,000,000 miles. You have these cars that are basically throwaway at 100,000 miles.
Right.
And so after 100,000 miles, it's going to nickel and dime you until basically you have a brand new car anyway, or you get sick of it and you buy a brand new car.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. And how do you keep people buying more expensive sport cars? You get rid of the fun small hatchback that's in your lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Killing
Yep.
me. You're killing me, Smalls.
I mean, there's a method to their madness, but it's shady
But
as
it's just,
shit, and
yeah,
it
it's bogus as fuck.
sucks.
You guys suck.
It's really, I mean, for real. Like, okay, so imagine it this way: the Ford gets rid of the Mustang and
Yeah,
comes out
Mustang
with
stuff.
a Corvette competitor.
Okay.
So now people who would normally buy the Mustang can't buy that Mustang for the lower price and have to go to that Corvette competitor. Have to go to that whatever their $60,000 sports car is.
Right.
That's how they do it. They get you loving this car, and then they get rid of it, and then they offer something just a little bit more expensive, and then there you
Right.
go.
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh yeah,
mean,
no, definitely. Definitely.
it's
And it's, of course, it's just opinion because it's like, there's no real evidence that this is how they do it. But
no,
it
no,
does
but
seem pretty, shady that like Fiat's like, yeah, we're going to get rid of the Fiat 500. You can't buy the Abarth anymore. Oh, by the way, the 500X, the little SUV that we make, is now going to have a sport model, which is kind of like the Abarth. Maybe you should buy that.
yeah,
Like, screw you guys. Okay,
because
that's
it's a little
twice
bit
the
more
price.
expensive.
Yeah, it is.
Exactly. Oh yeah, and that's what's gonna. I mean, have you noticed that car prices have just steadily increased over the
Oh, they're
years?
going through the roof, which is why, like, I think last week we were so amazed at how many used cars were under 5 grand
It's
because
true.
there's just like this market flood right now, and you've got
Well,
all these super high priced new cars where it's just like,
I worked at a Chevy dealership in high school, or right
hmm
after high school. It was a brand new extended cab Silverado, 4x4. It wasn't quite exactly base model, but it was a couple steps up from base model. It's
right,
$23,000 brand new. You cannot get that truck, that exact truck. You cannot get that for under $50,000 now. You
yeah,
just
no,
can't.
absolutely not, absolutely
You
not,
can't do it. So now that truck is literally twice the price as it was 10 years ago.
right.
Why?
Well, a
It's
lot of
not
that
like
has to do with,
well, we put all this brand new technology into it that's gonna fail within 3 years, and you have to
right,
replace it.
and also all the crumple zones and your airbags and your crash bars and your side
Right,
curtains and your
right.
and
So
your
once you
lane
get
change warnings and your reverse cameras and your parallel parking assist
so once you
and
get
your
into one
touchscreen
accident,
TV.
so once you get into one little fender bender, you have to replace the truck because it's totaled out.
Right. Oh yeah, no, totally. That's how it's so bogus. They regulated all these crazy different stuff into the cars, made them insanely expensive, and
I remember I remember there was all sorts of cool stuff like Mercedes and BMW, and I think maybe a little bit of Cadillac, but a lot of these guys were putting all this crazy technology into their cars, and then eventually it trickled down into the regular consumer cars, and then all these cars that were pioneering this stuff stopped using it. Why? Why is that? Because they realized it was dumb and it didn't work. Do you remember the window wipers that would turn on when the windshield sensed rain?
Yeah, they still make those. Those are still a thing.
But I mean, like, what? I can't notice. I can't see. Oh my gosh, my windshield is getting rain. I should probably turn my wipers on.
Yeah, the worst part about it, because my wife's SUV has it. And the worst part about that thing is like it does have an on-off switch still, right? So like I could turn it on to auto sense and I could turn it off. I'll go to clean the windshield and I'll get my little squeegee out. I'm at the gas station and I'm squeegeeing it across, and here comes the windshield wipers, and they're freaking hitting me in the face and
Yeah,
splashing my shove. I'm all wet. I'm
yeah.
bruised in the face.
Or the new start stop feature on these cars.
Oh, that has got to be that's like my dad has not stopped complaining about that stupid start feature. I mean, he got rid of his Ford because of it,
Hmm.
because you could
But it's
turn
on
it
it.
off, but as soon as you turn the car back on again, then it turns on again. You have to turn it off again.
Yeah,
He's like, I'll be waiting at a stoplight, and I'm waiting to go, and here's my opportunity, and I press the gas, and the
nothing.
car goes
Hmm.
like you just wait. I
Oh yeah,
just died because of you.
and not only that, I mean, okay, now every time you stop, that starter has to kick on. So now you're
Right.
wearing the hell out of that starter.
Oh yeah,
It,
big time.
this and that. There's so many people who returned their vehicles because of the start stop feature that half of these cars are selling for a quarter of the price because they're lemons because of the start stop feature because they don't know about
It's
it
terrible,
or
terrible feature.
it's ridiculous. There's no point in having it, and I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Let's
I don't
see.
know. I
The
don't know. It's just
future's gonna be weird.
after. I mean, and with you're gonna have these self-driving cars. I
Mhm.
There's a commercial that absolutely hates. I absolutely hate. There's a lady. She's holding a picture of her son who was killed by a driver who ran through a stoplight,
Mhm.
and it says if the driver was driving a self-driving car, he'd still be here. No, because the car doesn't register the stoplights. All the self-driving car does right now is highway use. You're not supposed to use it for stop and go driving.
Right. Right. Well,
So,
some of them will do like the you're stuck in traffic stuff. But yeah,
mm,
that's a ridiculous notion because uh
if
the
you're
the if
if
if I
say that
if I
car was
understand it correctly, that car's supposed to communicate with the traffic system, and the traffic system is supposed to say, "Hey, there's a red light here," and then the car's supposed to stop. What's to say that communication doesn't get crossed, and the car doesn't realize that's a red light. It thinks it's a green light and throws you through it. And you, as the driver, like it, car's driving itself. I'm on my phone. I got my newspaper, whatever.
mhm.
I'm not paying attention to the road now.
Or that delay. There's have you ever been driving and all of a sudden the light turns yellow and you have to slam on your brakes and you're hoping that you're going to stop in time?
Right? Yeah, definitely.
I mean, how many times is that going to happen with the self-driving feature and the car doesn't know what to do and just continues going?
We've already seen like there's and you really have to dig up these stories if you want to find them. We've already seen plenty of stories where people have been hit by self-driving cars because the sensor doesn't have enough time to sense the person who
Yeah.
or deer. There's been deer as well that it's running across the road and the car's coming, and just as they get to it, they happen to cross paths. The car doesn't have time to notice that and hit the brakes. It
Or
it hits. That's
D's
it.
car has that brake assist or whatever it is, where if there it senses something in front of you is coming up fast, it beeps at you and tells you to start slowing down.
Hmm.
We'll be driving 30 miles an hour, and the car in front of us kind of slows down a little bit, and we get a little bit close to them, and it'll start beeping at us, and it's like, dude, we got this. We can see it. We know what's going on. Or even better, if the weather is crappy, it's unavailable. It
It's
isn't
like,
that when you
yeah, I'm
need it the
not sending.
most?
Right, that's when you need it the most. So yeah, just all that stuff really bothers me. It's cars for the lazy. You
Yeah.
know, when your car automatically turns on its headlights, automatically turns on its windshield wipers, can drive itself down the highway, can park itself in parallel parking. You don't have to
Mhm.
do anything. Like, you're just a lazy person who doesn't understand cars, who doesn't like actually enjoy driving. And I think it's like a lot of people just have never driven a fun car. There's
And
so many boring, lame cars out there that until you actually drive a fun car, and I'm not talking like necessarily a big muscle car or like
mm,
some crazy Corvette sports car, just a fun car to drive is a
right, right,
total
right.
different experience from your normal everyday car. And you actually, are like, oh, I want to drive this faster and better, and I want to, you pay attention to the road. You're engaged in what you're doing. You're not just like, oh, I'm cruising to work. Like, there's
Well,
seriously,
and here's the deal. All of that technology is expensive.
it is. It's very expensive.
And so when that technology goes bad, your car's totaled because one feature went bad. That doesn't make any sense. It I understand how technology and moving forward and this and that and that's the cool this is the cool new features and stuff. But you can't force it on people. People aren't
Right,
gonna do. I mean,
right.
okay, okay, here we go. India and China are talking about, like I said, making their vehicles diesel free by 2040.
Why? What's the point?
India is still on coal produced power. Do you know what harvests all their coal? Diesel engines. So what are they going to make uh, all those heavy equipment pieces electric, gas powered?
This is not going to cut it. This is not going to cut it.
It's not going
And
to happen.
India,
It's
India and
impossible.
China have the like the worst out of all the like massive emissions, pollutions and stuff. That's like the majority of that stuff's coming out of China and India, and it's because of their electrical production and has nothing to do with their vehicles. So why we continue to restrict cars and vehicles and make them harder for people to get is
Mhm.
just ridiculous to
But
me.
not only that, I mean, okay, say you want to make everything, you know, electric by 2040 or in 30 years. Okay, um, it's impossible. How many vehicles are on the road right now? You don't even
Yeah,
have enough time to make enough vehicles to replace those vehicles, let alone mandate everybody to buy those vehicles. Because I mean, okay, well, I can't afford a brand new Tesla, right? Well, what are you going to do? Give me a discount on one?
well, they were for a while. They're for the longest time the only. And I read a fun article on Tesla when we were doing our whole, electric car rants there a few months back.
Right.
And the only reason why Tesla is still around today is because people were getting massive tax breaks from state and
Yeah.
federal governments to
Yes.
buy the car. So like the state and those are going away. Those are going away pretty quickly. Here in Illinois, that's gone. Like, sucks to be you guys. You guys have to pay way more for licensing because you don't pay into the gas tax, which
Right.
we won't get into. Uh, but like that's the only reason why Tesla's still here. Otherwise, no one would have been able to afford their cars, and the people that did would have been so pissed off because the cars were such pieces of junk when they first came out. They're constantly having to be towed everywhere. The batteries weren't up to speed, but at the time it was like, well, it's okay because I got $10,000 back off I got $10,000 off a car. Like,
Yeah.
that's a pretty significant chunk of change.
But like I was saying, so even here in America, say you want to make America gas, all electric by say 2080, you have to make a bunch of cars a day
A lot, yeah, a lot of cars.
just to be able to come up with that. And then not only that, but you have to get people to actually buy those vehicles instead of driving their other vehicles.
And on top of that, you have to figure out a way for the power grid to be able to handle all the extra power drain, because you can't tell me you could just switch everybody off of gasoline and onto electricity and the power grid's going to be like, yeah, that's fine. Like,
Right.
you're going to have to produce more electricity.
Well, it's yeah, because there's already times in summertime where you hear of rolling blackouts because the power plant can't put enough power into the system. Well,
Right.
well now you've got 300 million people driving power electric vehicles. Well, they got to charge
Yeah.
them somewhere.
Yeah, where's that electricity going to come from? The power grids aren't just going to magically be like, yeah, that's fine, we could totally handle that. I mean, look, unless you convert all the like, just in America, if you were to take all the power plants and convert them all over to nuclear or the carbon capture, what is it, the natural gas carbon capture that they can do,
Hmm.
and then add on, a few thousand extra power plants per state, uh, maybe you could sustain to be able to charge everybody's car, but it's just exactly did you do? Nothing. You just made it so that way guys like me can't have gasoline engines. Like, you didn't actually accomplish anything. You're still producing all the emissions because of electricity
Yeah.
production. So,
Hmm. And
not to
it's
mention battery production. So,
battery production, the electricity production. So you're basically back to square one.
right,
And and the thing is that, like we've said before, around town, Teslas are cool, awesome. I got you. That's not a bad idea. But if I want to go on a trip, I don't want to have to stop every 200 miles and wait for an hour to have my car charged. I want to be able to fill up and go.
right. And I also don't want to be looking around. Like, I know that's kind of silly to say right now because it took a while for there to be gasoline stations everywhere. But I also don't want to sit around forever or drive around a little extra. Like, oh crap, where's a charging station? Where's a charging station? You
Right.
know, there's so much stuff that's wrong. Like, the electric vehicles are not here yet. The self-driving cars, don't try and guilt me into buying these things. Like, that's what the
Right.
main thing is. They're trying to guilt you into feeling bad. Oh, the poor plant. Oh, the poor babies that wouldn't have been run over because you weren't paying attention. Oh, don't sell me that line of garbage. Like, come on. I don't want an emotional response. Like, just stop. You're not gonna guilt me
Yeah.
into this stuff.
I don't know. I, I think the car companies are a little bit out of touch, and they don't care about what the general public says. They just do what they want to do.
It's almost like they don't care about cars anymore. Like,
Mm-hmm.
everyone has this affinity for, like, the 60s and 70s vehicles. Like, there was this point in time where the auto manufacturers were producing cars because they cared about producing cars. Like, they
Right.
actually, like, wanted to make a real product that wasn't just like well, this is a standard jelly bean, this will sell.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't the main focus. The main focus was that they wanted to create an excellent product that looked good, that had the right amount of power, that had the right amount of versatility, that actually was like a thing that they would be proud of to produce and put out.
Well,
Now it's a new refrigerator. It's just, move it on down the line.
well,
Who gives a shit?
back, 50s, 60s, 70s, it was we want to make you want to buy our vehicle. And nowadays it's you have to buy a vehicle, so you might as well just buy ours.
Right. Just
They
buy this
don't.
one.
Hey, there's 50 cars that you can choose from. Buy ours because ours is nicer. But
Ours has a good commercial.
in the 50s it was, hey, here's our car. Do you like it? Cool, come buy it. You know what I mean? Like they let the car speak for itself, and now it's they sell you the car instead of
Right.
you going and wanting to buy that car.
Right. Right.
The cars back then were artwork. It was amazing. The way that they made these cars was over the top and opulent and just amazing cars. And now it's that car looks the same as that car so Ours has a 1 more mile per gallon, and it has an extra seatbelt.
Right.
Oh, wow, I gotta buy that one then. Holy crap! No, that's not how it works. Make people want to buy your car. Make people excited for your car.
Oh, I know. Produce something that's has some passion behind it for once, will you?
It's
Stop
like
trying
those.
to force
It's
this crap down our throats.
like the commercials where everybody's driving the exact same car, and then that one guy is driving something different. That's
Yeah.
how. That's how the '50s was. Everybody was driving something different. It didn't matter. It didn't matter if it was the same car as you and your neighbor going by the same car. There's something different about each one of those cars.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
now it's
manufacturers back then weren't afraid to put out some kind of out there design choices and make some bold statements
mhm,
with their vehicles.
right.
You see cars like, and when everything started to kind of meld together, you see like these cars that stand out that were terrible cars that made it just because they stood out, like the PT Cruiser,
Yeah,
terrible vehicle,
yeah.
but it was just vastly different from anything else on the road. Was it a sedan? Was it a hatchback? Was it
It's like the
sporty? Was it
it's
slow and boring?
well,
It was just kind of this weird thing that emerged, and it was like, whoa, that's cool because it doesn't look like everything else.
right, right. It was well. It's like the Prowler. The
Hmm.
Prowler was not that great of a vehicle. It
Nobody was
really,
very different.
but I mean, if you look at it today, you're like, wow, everybody wanted one of these. This thing is
Everybody.
this thing is kind of, it's got ugly, nasty plastic front bumpers. Front
Yeah,
little
that
triangle
should have at
bumpers.
least been fake chrome. I mean, you could have at least put some fake
Something,
chrome on there.
a little piece of metal or something like that. I mean, and the way that everything was set up, you could only fit a V6 inside of it, and there's no
Yeah, they gave it 4-speed automatic. It didn't say Prowler anywhere on it. It had some weird, like the Prowler is just one of those really weird. But at the time it was so
it was
outlandish and wild, and it was
mhm,
it was its own thing that it just sold and it worked. Like I
right.
would love to see a return to that. I would love to see a manufacturer be like, here's a vehicle, and you know what? It's weird and it's different and it's maybe it's a little
But then
ugly, maybe it's
again,
a little
you
hot.
gotta
Like it's
you
cool.
gotta be careful. You gotta be careful with stuff like that because then you get stuff like the SSR.
That's true. That's true. And it happens.
but then
But there
again,
was a time there
that's the
was a time
thing.
when the SSR was considered to be very cool because of how different of a truck it was.
But that's the thing is before car companies weren't afraid to make crazy decisions and take chances. And now it's we have to follow this formula because this formula works. Well,
Right.
yeah, but you know what else works? Crazy, interesting cars that people haven't seen yet, and you know the cool differenceness of it is makes you want to buy it. Like the Alfa Romeo 4C. When you showed that car, I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then I started doing a little bit of research on it because I had never seen one before.
Right.
They sold, I think at the highest, they sold 400 a month throughout the entire country.
Yeah.
400, 400 cars in 1 month. They had, I think, out of 3 years that they had it, they sold 2,500 or a little over 2,500 of those in the entire United States. So they were not everywhere. Not everybody had one. So it's like one of those things where that car looks a lot cooler to me now because it's something that nobody has.
Right. Right. They're kind of rare. They're exclusive. Alfa Romeo dealers aren't everywhere, so you can't just
Mm-hmm.
if you're a person that wanted one, you couldn't just go out and buy one. It was a very rare and exclusive car, and it was
Mm-hmm.
cool, and it was designed and built the way that they build hypercars, but it was reasonably priced for
Right.
what it was. This cool mid-engine car, and they are just they're so gorgeous.
And it's the same reason why like the Julia and the Stinger are do so well because one, they're different. Not everybody's putting out a performance sedan, and
Right.
the Julia looks really nice and sleek, and it looks good. And then you got the Stinger coming in here, stealing thunder from like Mustangs and Camaros because it's got similar performance numbers in a sedan.
Right.
So
In
it's
a
one of those
Kia
things where
sedan, no less.
right, exactly. And so people are like, oh, that's different, that's cool, and so they're spending a little bit more than what you normally would expect for people to spend, but it's different, and that's what
Right.
people want. They want different, not this 9 different SUVs that are the exact same. No,
Right.
that's not different.
Oh
Whatever.
man, people need to listen to us. We know what's going on. Me and you, we're up to speed. These guys are like in second gear. We're at fifth, at least.
We're
At
next year
least.
already.
Yeah, that's right. We're already talking about 2021 models already. I already
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Watch. 2021 is going to be the death of SUVs, and they're going to start bringing sedans back, like performance sedans.
Performance sedans are coming back. They're going to make a huge comeback. There's going to be a big deal with the SUVs. There's going to be something's going to happen. Gas prices are going to go up. Something's going to happen, and then SUVs are going to die off again, and we're going to get all the cool small cars, and sedans are going to come back, and station wagons, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
ugh, if you guys would just continue to manufacture this stuff, when the thing went to when the markets sway back and forth between the styles, you would already be in place, ready to
Mm-hmm.
go. But
Yep.
oh, all right, Marty. I think we're way
Uh,
up there in time, huh? About an hour.
hour and 15.
Not too shabby.
Not too
It's been
bad
a
at all.
pretty good Monday.
Yeah, yeah. Always. I mean, heck, we only had one little thing to start off with, and we talked for an hour and a
Yeah,
half.
not bad.
Oh yeah, it happens. But anyway, so everybody, come if you're going to be in the Joliet area in what October 12th. Come out to the Joliet Mall over by where the old Sears was. Is it even labeled anymore, or is it?
I don't know. And I had if the location may change. Me and Marty we gotta sit there. We gotta
We
talk
got to figure
because
out. Yeah.
I got offered a location that we
Oh,
were permitted to use, so
okay.
it might work out better. But we have to like me and you have to have a powwow and make
I can dig it. I can dig it.
a plan and powwow. But the 12th, and it'll be somewhere near the Joliet area. Um, so definitely the 12th.
Yeah, 12th
ATO.
probably later on in the afternoon, early evening.
Right. We'll make it. Well, once we'll get it hammered out this week, Marty, and then we'll make
Yeah.
an event here on the page,
Hmm.
and that way you guys can share out the event and
Right.
let us know if you're coming.
Also, we are so close to hitting 500 members over
Just
here. We need
insanely
one more.
close.
We need one more.
So
Let's
if you
get
haven't joined us, make sure you join the ATO group. Be
let's
number 500. Be cool.
let's grow this up. Go follow the Instagrams at All Terrain Outlaws and Riding with Rob. Go jump on the YouTube and check out Rob's awesome rants where he complains about Chevy being idiots. But yeah, definitely. So
Oh yeah.
we'll
All
get
right,
all that
guys.
stuff. We'll get all that stuff ironed out, and everyone will figure out what's going on soon. So we'll be good.
Definitely stay tuned. Definitely stay tuned. Marty, until later.
All righty. Peace.